Good afternoon to all of you. I think coming before lunch is a tough time, but nevertheless, we'll do the justice, whatever I'll speak. Uh, I'll talk about how is that when we look one side on the kind of a developing of this larger public good. Yeah, so how is the digital helping us in developing of larger public good at one side? And then when we are progressing by leap and bound, no, one side economy at large, other side infrastructure uh, going towards the last mile, and at the same time, if I see the overall, kind of a ecosystem at large, how are we bridging those gaps? Now, when you say you become Atmanirbhar, you become Viksit Bharat, it's all about how do you bridge those gaps of rural and urban divide, gaps of literacy and illiteracy, gaps of economic conditions, right? Gaps of demography and geography barriers. So there are many gaps we need to fill up, right? And that's where I feel technology is becoming a savior when you deal with a scale, when you deal with masses at large, when you try to kind of achieve something maximum in a shortest possible time. And how is it helping? Let's go through some slides so that now this particular slide, if we see, uh, kind of a the government at large, if we are aiming to achieve, let's say, $1 trillion of digital economy, or let's say overall $5 trillion of overall economy, just imagine one of the kind of a data point which I have captured. If we see the FDI alone, right? Uh, I mean, India is the largest recipient of FDI, almost $1919 between 2000 to 2023, and that to 65%, or let's say $595 came during last 8 9 years, right? So that itself shows saying that where are we heading, where country as large is heading when we are achieving those targets, let's say $1 trillion of digital economy or overall economy of $5 trillion. Now, while we are aiming for such no kind of a benchmark, I think some of the initiative which government has initiated and which is for all of us, it doesn't matter whether you come from government, someone from industry, academia, research institute, it doesn't actually matter. But what it matters is, how do you create or how do you handle these kind of a large measures which kind of a I can give plethora of examples which is becoming a success story, whether it is GST, UPI, passport seva, no income tax, GEM. There are plethora of examples, and these are, I call, mothers platform, right? And when you create these kind of a measures, mothers platform, uh, the first and foremost thing goes to our mind is how do you create a flawless digital interaction? And what does it mean when you call for a flawless digital interaction? It's like anytime, anywhere, 24 by 7, any device kind of a scenario. Let me quote a small example so then we can connect. Right? Today, if you ask for all of these services which I have quoted, assume that a citizen is seeking a passport services in India, or let's say my global diaspora across the globe, right? I do not make any difference whether you apply from, let's say, Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, any of the big city, or let's say a poor farmer somewhere sitting in a remote corner of a village, or a laborer seeking for a job outside India. I absolutely do not make a difference, right? The passport service delivery, or as I said, many of the example I quoted, it's seamless access to all, it's equal access to all. And that's the idea when we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat or Viksit Bharat. How do you create those facilities and amenities for citizen at large at every nook and corner without having to differentiate in terms of, as I said, rural, urban, economic conditions, no kind of a literacy and so on and so forth. And if that is the case, I think one of the major kind of a focus area is which I call digital democratization. How do you follow the path of digital democratization? And if we need to follow the path of digital democratization, as I said, it's a collaborative approach. One side, let government is making policy, administration, so and so forth, sovereign decision and so on and so forth. Industry is bringing, let's say, technology and other no niche areas. And then when you join together, the beneficiary or the service seeker, wherever I am, can I deliver those services, products, solutions closer to the user? That is one of the goal which we all need to work towards that direction. And the other is, whenever I am delivering such services, products or solution, am I kind of doing some kind of a biases? Am I violating some, let's say, data security or privacy concerns? Am I, if I am using this kind of advanced and, let's say, emerging technologies kind of AI and other, is there the model has been done correctly? Is that the AI has been trained properly, right? So that's the crux. Now, the last bullet which I have captured is, I think we all again need to think that when we talk about sustainability, once is your financial sustainability, operational sustainability, quality and service assurance sustainability. But other side, the sustainability, when you say, it's all about how do you reduce the carbon footprint, how do you create a ecological balance. And if you have to do that, I think now we have to come out from, if you see the economy at large, it's a purely hydrocarbon entrenched economy. Now, can we slowly start thinking, coming out from the hydrocarbon entrenched economy towards other source of kind of economy? And if we do that, I think the starting point, I think the major area is the digital area. Let's assume that today, if I am powering my data center through a hydrocarbon way or traditional way, I can at least reduce 60 to 70% of powering to the same data center through other means and other sources, and that's what we call green energy or green data centers, right? It not only helps there, but it also helps, like for an example, I have lot of energy efficient hardware today available, which will help us not only to reduce the cost, but also it may increase my operational efficiency. So it helps both away. One is moving towards the sustainability side, and others reducing my operational cost, improving efficiency. Now, this is one of the slide, I think, when we are talking about all the large and big transformation, and this is the slide which kind of fits everywhere. Wherever whether you are taking up a government large transformation, you are looking for a product or solutions, or maybe you are doing a research, or kind of you are from a education kind of a background or institutions, or looking for the students at large. This slide talks about how do we enable the middle tiers. Can we enable the middle tiers? And as I said, when I'm enabling those middle tiers, it's not that easy. No, you have to take everything alone. One side processes, other side your compliances, regulations, then it comes your technology, and as I said, at the end, it is the beneficiary and masses at large. And when you are trying to enable those middle tiers, I think the side way, if you see, I have mentioned those 5 W's. And it's very important to understand those 5 W's. It's your workload, your workforce, your workspace, your workflow is nothing but the application and the web, right? And if you understand those 5 W's, then the left side, those 5 V's, it's all about data. How do you consume data? How do you collect data? How do you kind of harness data, right? Is there the data carrying some sort of a veracity? Is that the data carrying some sort of a noise? So I must understand those 5 V's. And if I understand those 5 W's and 5 V's, ultimately where I'm heading to, I'm heading towards a predictable age. Post facto are the gone. The first P is the post facto. Today we are at a kind of a proactive stage, but now I want to predict. Can I predict my failure in the data center? Right? Can I predict that, okay, next year in the month of March, in a particular south zone, these many passport applications will be added to my volume? Can I predict that? I can do that. I am doing that probably. Right? So that's the age. Now, as we all are discussing, when we are moving for Atmanirbhar Bharat and kind of a Viksit Bharat, this is another slide which, kind of a, when we are talking about emerging technology, whether AI, whether it is blockchain, whether it is analytics, cloud as a platform, but then the crux is, how do you take care of all these focus areas, key focus areas? The first key focus area is the energy efficiency. Second is the dynamic scaling. Let me take some seconds here. When I say dynamic scaling, I am talking about the business in hand. I am talking about the workload in hand. And especially after COVID, nobody could realize that my workload or the business need will fluctuate like no anything, right? And if those are the scenario, how do I deal such kind of a scenario? So that's I call dynamic scaling. Then automation and orchestration, another layer. Edge computing, every one of us, we need that. I must be delivering services closer to the user. I must be now processing the data wherever it is. For an example, all these power sectors and other sectors, now when they are kind of a amalgamating this IT and OT space, there are a lot of IoT devices will be used, right? So if I am collecting some data on the IoT devices, I like to process that data there and there itself, so that my service efficiency, my operational efficiency increases, right? So that's the orchestration layer. And when I say the automation layer, naturally the kind of a routine kind of a task can I automate, right? And so edge computing, then security. Security is one of the biggest pain area, I'll say, which every one of us addressing, whether I'm dealing with passport, someone in power sector, someone in some other sector, but security is the key now. Now, if I am dealing with the security again, when I am leveraging technology, kind of advanced kind of a solutions, can I take help of building or kind of improving my security layer one step ahead, right? And when I say one step ahead, that means, can I protect against, let's say, emerging threats or cyber threat even before it lands into my perimeter, right? Towards the data center or towards the end users, right? Both sides. Then AI and analytics, another big chunk which will all be kind of, as I said, using day by day, whatever solution, whatever product, whatever services you will be working with, these will be working at the core of the solutions. But when we are dealing with AI and advanced analytics, I think the key focus area would be, how do you optimize your resource utilization at one side? How do you predict failures at at various data points or various service layer? And at the end of the day, what is that you are trying to achieve? You are trying to improve your operational efficiency. This is another version of the same slide, so I am skipping that. But this slide I must speak. I say, have I crossed some slide? This slide talks about, right, when we are thinking of, let's say, Atmanirbhar Bharat or let's say Viksit Bharat, the idea is, how do you reduce dependency in terms of, let's say, investment, in terms of, let's say, production capacity? How do you promote your SMEs or what's startup sector. And if you have to do that, I think those traditional models are not working. Believe me, those traditional models are not working. And that's why we need to innovate new business model. If you have to carry kind of a, this kind of a India kind of a power in terms of production, in terms of service delivery, in terms of taking those SMEs and startups alone, I need to create new business model. And one of the business model which you could create is something I call, if you see the upper four layer of this particular business model which I have depicted, I have engaged industry on those upper four layer, right? There is no intervention of government as such on those upper four rows. But if you go down below three rows, there is a kind of a complete control of government in terms of owning, regulation control and management control. And the beauty what you achieve at the end of the day of such business model is, yeah. So at the end of the day, when you innovate this kind of a business model, I think these are the takeaways which is given. You don't have to worry about that. Whether you are talking about financial investment, which is a major kind of a challenge in all of us, in terms of leveraging best in class processes, people and technology. Technology, whatever you do, whatever you invest, it's going to be obsolete naturally after 2-3 years. So how do you take care such obsolecences? Quick and easy staff augmentation, very important. In government, if you are looking to, let's say, hire some manpower or depute some manpower, it takes time, no? And let me quote an example. In Passport Seva, I was needing a workforce of around 4,000 to 5,000 within 1 year to 2 years. Now tell me which government will give me those many budgets or that kind of a possibility. Is it possible? It was never possible. And that's why when we innovated such kind of a business model, what I could do, I could simply outsource the non-sovereign task to those kind of a workforce which I engage from industry side, right? Around 4,000 to 5,000 people, and all the government staff, otherwise I have put them on a sovereign functions, sovereign decisions, critical decisions, and they were working on the same roof. And the end result is the same government manpower where I was per annum issuing kind of a passport around 50 lakhs in 2009-10. Today I am issuing, last year we issued 1.70 crore passport. Just imagine. It could not have been possible over 10 years, 20 years. I don't know how many years I could have taken, right? And at the end of the day, such business model will give you a reskilling, reskilling, capacity building, training. That becomes part and parcel of your transformation process. You don't have to think differently. That is the idea. This is one of my favorite slides because we are talking about how do you leverage AI, how do you leverage bot, how do you leverage big data, cloud, so and so forth. But my cautious to the audience is, if you are attempting to do that, please follow the process which I spoke before 2 slides. Unless you have achieved there, these will take you somewhere else. The result will be something else which otherwise you are looking. But once you are at a maturity level, once you have achieved those kind of a blocks which I have briefed before, then the potential of AI, big data, cloud, bots, so and so forth, you can have the maximum kind of a throughput or maximum leverage you can do. And while you are doing that, again, you have to be very cautious, which is the middle one in the circle, the data governance principle. You must not forget the data governance principle walking around those emerging technology, and you have to follow the principle of data governance. The other very important criteria which I call rules of engagement, and the rules of engagement are nothing but your compliances, regulations and law of the land. So the idea is, one side the technology, other side the processes, the problems, the business in hand, the third side, no, the beneficiary and customers at the this thing other side, and the inside is your entire hierarchy in terms of organization, in terms of management, in terms of taking decisions. And at the end, when you are leveraging technology, as I said, data is the crux. How do you create a data governance framework? And when you are dealing with the data governance framework, we must not forget about those rules of engagement, because tomorrow anything or everything goes wrong, ultimately you have to kind of land into the court of law, and otherwise who will protect you? So unless you are aligning, realigning, complying with those rules of engagement, whatever effort you have done, probably that's worthless, right? So that's how it should be. AI, one slide, just I am showing you, when we are leveraging AI, we must think of how do I safeguard some of the bullets which I have captured. This is my last slide. I think this is one of the service delivery benchmark which we are able to achieve in Passport Seva, but this is just for the sample. Any of the programs government is dealing now, whether it is Passport Seva, whether it is GEM portal, whether it is GST, whether it is, I can quote plethora of examples, and such benchmark, such service quality, such kind of a citizen impact, such empowerment, inclusivity, you can only achieve provided, I think, if you take the approach holistically, judiciously, and at the end of the day, no, there has to be a visibility, which I call observability across the ecosystem. So that's how I end it. Thank you. Thank you very much. I once again thanks Raviji and entire team having me here. Thank you.